Good evening everyone, welcome to JAIIB CAIB English Medium channel. Hope you all are doing well. So today we are here to discuss principles and practices of banking session, that is of unit number 29. So I guess you all are aware about this, that we have started the target series in which we are discussing every day all the 4 subjects of yours only on JAIIB CAIB English Medium channel in the English language. So today's session is about PPB, principles and practices of banking. The PPB subject actually covers total 55 units and it's the biggest, it has biggest syllabus in our JAIIB, all the 4 subjects. So now when it comes to JAIIB PPB subject, it's a paper number 2 and the PPB module A covers from unit number 1 to unit number 21. So it means we have completed module A and right now we are discussing module B, and the module B start from the unit number 22. And we are discussing today unit number 29 of module B. Okay, so let's start the session. And the topic or the unit that we are going to discuss today of module B, it talks about the important laws relating to the recovery of dues. So we guess everyone is aware about NPA, that is non-performing asset. So non-performing asset is simply the asset of a bank which is not performing anymore in the market. Not performing in the market means it stopped generating income for the bank. So those kind of assets of a bank which is stop generating income for the bank or stop giving the earning to the bank, those are called as a non-performing asset. Now assets of a bank simply means the loan and advances. So why the bank is providing loan and advances? To earn certain interest rate, to have earning, right? But if the asset stopped giving earning on the loans and advances, then they will be called as an NPA, and the NPA duration is prescribed by our rules and regulation, that is 90 days. So if a customer is not repaying the installment for the 1 month, like from 1st to 30 days, in between 1st to 30 days, if the customer have not paid the loan, it called as a special mention account. So when we talk about the NPA or when we talk about the non-performing asset, let's first understand like what are the different types of assets the bank have. Okay, let's understand that first. So when it comes to the assets of a bank, the assets of bank covers loans, or you can call it advances. Loans and advances are the assets of a bank, and now these assets are divided into 2 categories or 2 parts. The first one we have is a standard asset. The first one we have is standard asset. This standard asset is divided into 2 categories further. The first one is regular asset and the second one is stressed asset. Second one is stressed asset. So now standard asset is not a part of NPA. Okay, in accounting it have been defined that a standard asset is not a part of NPA. So one type of asset we have a standard asset and the second type we have is a non-performing asset, that is called as an NPA. Okay, so standard asset further divided into regular and stressed asset. Regular assets means those assets which are keep generating income for the bank. Okay, those assets which are generating income for the bank, that is called as a your regular asset. Like regularly customer is paying installment of a loan and regularly the bank is earning a certain amount of money in form of interest on a loan, that is called as a regular asset of a bank. Now stressed asset is actually called as a special mention account. The stressed asset covers the special mention account, and the special mention accounts are actually kind of early identification of bad debts. Okay, stressed assets are what? They are the early identification of bad debts. Now what does this mean? It means special mention accounts give the warning or have a kind of early identification pattern that what type of a loan account can go to the NPA. So that's why the stressed assets account covers the special mention account. So I will write here. The first we have SMA 0, special mention account 0, then we have SMA 1, that is a special mention account 1, then we have a special SMA 2, special mention account 2, and their duration is 1 to 30 days, then 31 to 60 days, and then 61 to 90 days. So if in this duration the customer have not paid the installment of a loan, then it will be defined as a special mention account 0, special mention account 1 and a special mention account 2. And after 90 days, okay, after 90 days it converts into NPA. Okay, If any customer is not repaying or any customer is not paying the installment of a bank loan for more than 90 days, it will be defined as an NPA. Okay. So this is how the assets of a bank is defined, and now the NPA is defined into the three type of assets, that is substandard asset. NPA have substandard asset, then we have doubtful asset. The doubtful asset, on the basis of the duration, it is divided into three categories: doubtful 1, doubtful 2 and doubtful 3. And then we have loss asset. So these are the three types of assets under NPA: substandard, doubtful and loss asset. And other standard asset covers these regular and stressed assets. So now we can say special mention accounts are like the early identification of bad debts, right? So how we get the early identification? Because it gives the notification, it gives the idea that how many accounts are there who have not paid the first installment, who have not paid the second installment, or who have not paid the third installment. So on the basis of this duration, 1 to 30, 31 to 60, 61 to 90, we got to know which accounts might go to NPA after a certain period of time. Okay, and that will be 90 days. So now once the loan become NPA, we have to recover that. Okay, and for the recovery of this NPA, we have introduced the laws related to recovery of dues. Okay, and that's what the unit is, laws relating to the recovery of dues. Okay, so what are these laws are? Let's see. So recovery of money lent is not always smooth, and banks are required to occasionally use legal avenues like courts for recovering dues from the defaulting borrowers. Definitely, it's every type of loan which bank is providing to the customer, it covers a normal risk of default. Whether you are giving loan to me, you are giving loan to other 24/7, you are giving loan to Mr. Ambani, you are giving loan to Mr. Bill Gates, in every case, a normal risk of default will be there. Okay, a normal risk of default will be there. So recovery of money is lent not always smooth, and banks have to find out certain other ways to recover their dues. So simply, the Indian Contract Act and the Civil Procedure Code were used for this purpose. They had their own constraints. Considering significance of recovery by banks, a few laws have been enacted providing specific remedies to banks and financial institutions. So earlier these kind of cases used to go to the court, but we know what is the situation of Indian courts. A lot of cases are pending, and it keeps going on, like they keep giving dates and they never find the result or solution, the final decision. So that's why the Certain Recovery of Dues Act have been created, which only focuses on the NPA recovery, and that provide a kind of early resolution as well. Okay, so Recovery of Debts and Bankruptcy Act 1993, 6 SARFAESI Act, that is Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Security Interest Act, then IBC, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, Legal Service Authorities Act 1989, and the Law of Limitation. These are the laws that we have to cover in this particular unit. Okay, and when we talk about recovery of dues, we have a DRT, DRAT, NCLT, NCALT, we have SARFAESI, we have asset reconstruction companies, we have IBC. All of these have to be studied when we are talking about recovery of dues. Okay, we are talking about the recovery of dues. We have to cover all these ways by which recovery will be done. So let's start first with the introduction to the Recovery of Debts and Bankruptcy Act, that was 1993, that is called as a DRB. So recovery through courts were a major bottleneck. Bottleneck means hurdle. It was very tough due to huge backlog of cases with the various courts. As I have told you, when we used to take the courts, Indian courts, for the recovery of loan, and when we go to the court for the solution, it takes a lot of time, right? So even in recovery of decreed debts, considerable difficulties were faced. It was observed huge assets were blocked as unproductive assets, and the process of recovery required considerable manpower of the banks and financial institutions, thus drain on their productivity. So what we are saying simply that it have been seen huge assets were blocked at the unproductive assets. Why unproductive? Because whenever bank provide loan to earn income on it, to generate income on it, but such certain NPAs or non-performing asset, they stop generating income on the loan, and at that time they become unproductive assets for us, and a huge amount of such kind of unproductive assets were there. Okay, and the process of recovery, it required the considerable manpower of the banks and of the financial institution. And I guess you I guess you all have heard about the name Bad Bank National Asset Reconstruction Company Limited. So Bad Banks was introduced to make sure that bank do not focus only on the recovery of NPA. Like bank's primary focus became the recovery of NPA for a certain period of time in financial years. So at that time, the business development and finding the way by how to raise the capital, these kind of things banks were not capable of focusing on. There was no innovation in the banking sector. So that's why the bad bank was created. So that the bad bank will take over the NPA of a bank and the bank balance sheet will be clean, so that the bank will focus on the other things like the business development and how to raise the capital from the market. That's why the NPA, NARCL, or we can say bad bank, was introduced. So now when we talk about this, this is seeing the same thing. A lot of manpower of the bank and financial institution was required. It was very hard to do that. So hence Recovery of Debt Due to Banks and Financial Institution Act 1993, that is DRT Act, was enacted, and debt recovery tribunals were constituted for the speedy recovery. So DRTs are what? They are the special type of courts created by the central government for the recovery of NPAs. Okay, what is DRTs? DRTs are simply special type of courts established by the central government for the purpose of recovery of loan only. So the act was amended in 2019, including its title as Recovery of Debts and Bankruptcy Act. Now next, the extent of this act is, the act is applicable to the whole of India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir. That act is made applicable from 24th of June 1993 through the DRTs established progressively across the country. So now qualifying amount, we have the cases or the amount of debt due to any bank or financial institution or their consortium is 20 lakh or more are covered under the DRT. If the NPA or the loan amount is 20 lakh or more than that, then we can go to the DRT. Okay. Now, what is presiding officer? So presiding officer means the presiding officer of the debt recovery tribunal appointed under section 4.1. Okay, when we talk about presiding officer, that means it's a presiding officer of debt recovery tribunal. It will be appointed, the person will be appointed in the section 4.1. So now the tribunal is made up of only one person called the presiding officer, and the qualification for the officer is a person is qualified for appointment as a presiding officer of DRT if he is or has been or is qualified to be appointed as a district judge. If a person is qualified to become a district judge, he can be appointed as a presiding officer. So term of office is what? The presiding officer holds office for a term of 5 years from the date on which he assumes his office or until he attains the age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. Accordingly, the term of office will be decided. Now, apart from that, recovery officers are also there. They are appointed by the central government for each tribunal under section 7.1 for implementing the recovery orders passed by the tribunals. So whatever recovery orders the DRT will give, the recovery officer will go and recover such kind of assets. Okay. Now, then we have appellate tribunal, DRAT, debt recovery appellate tribunal. That's a higher authority after the DRT. If any bank is not satisfied with the DRT, they can go to the DRAT for the solution, right? So the central government has power to establish one or more appellate tribunals known as debt recovery appellate tribunal. The central government specifies the area within which the appellate tribunal may exercise jurisdiction for entertaining the deciding the application filed before it. Okay. So central government is what? It specifies the area within which the appellate tribunal may exercise the jurisdiction. So chairperson will be a DRTA consists of only one person called as a chairperson. Okay. And qualification will be the person, he is or has been qualified to be a judge of High Court, has been a member of Indian Legal Service and held a post in grade 1 of that service for at least 3 years period, has held office as a presiding officer of a tribunal for at least 3 years. So if a person fulfills this criteria, that person will be appointed as a presiding officer, or we can say chairperson of a DRAT, that is debt recovery appellate tribunal. Okay. The person should be qualified to become a judge of High Court. The person should be has been a member of Indian Legal Service in the post grade 1, and after that it should be working there for 3 years, and the person should be working as a presiding officer for the DRT for at least 3 years period. Then the person will be qualifying to become the chairperson of a DRAT. So the term of office is chairperson holds office for a term of 5 years from the date on which he assumes his office or until he attains the age of 70 years, whichever is earlier. Okay, so that will be followed. Now, introduction to SARFAESI Act. Next, we have a SARFAESI Act. So, I guess every one of you is aware about the SARFAESI Act, right? SARFAESI Act is actually helping us out to recover the loan or NPA, that covers the amount more than 1 lakh or 20% of the contract, or of the loan amount. So you can see the lender's rights over the securities, both movable and immovable, for realization of the amount advanced were of limited value and less effective, since enforcement of security was required to be done through the legal proceedings. And then the legal process took unduly long time to complete the prior to the passing of the Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Security Interest Act 2002. Okay, so the legal process that took unduly long time to complete the prior to passing the SARFAESI Act. So SARFAESI Act introduced major changes in the legal framework for recovery of dues of banks and financial institutions through the enforcement of the securities. So in this, we have seen it is streamlined the functions of asset reconstruction company for dealing with the financial assets of a bank and financial institution. For this purpose, the procedure as well as the regulatory control measures were required. So when we know the SARFAESI Act actually have made changes in the recovery of dues, and we can say recovery of dues of banks and financial institution by doing what? By enforcement of the securities. So it performed the securitization process. It performed the reconstruction process of the assets that have to be recovered by the SARFAESI. So qualifying amount is the act is applicable to the cases where the securities interest for securing repayment of any financial asset is more than 1 lakh and the amount is due 20% or more of the principal amount and interest thereon. So if let's say a person have taken a loan of 1 lakh rupees and more than the recovery of dues will be done under the SARFAESI. Let's say a person have taken a loan of 10 lakh rupees and he returned, for example, 8 lakh rupees. Okay, then it will not be applied because the only 20% is remaining. Then it will apply the SARFAESI Act. But if the person has repaid the 9 lakh rupees, only 1 lakh rupees is remaining, then it won't be applied. The two conditions are there. The amount should be more than 1 lakh. Only 1 lakh is remaining, then the SARFAESI won't be applicable. If more than 1 lakh is there, SARFAESI will be applicable. Second condition, the principal plus interest together covers the 100% amount of a loan. Out of that, if 20% or more than 20% is remaining of that particular amount, then the SARFAESI will be applicable, otherwise no. Okay. Apart from that, it also has been said that the SARFAESI won't be applicable on the agricultural land. So you can see the act is not applicable to any security interest created on agricultural land, and certain properties are not liable to attachment under the some specified acts. Now, agricultural land is not included in the SARFAESI Act because it has been said that agricultural land, selling of agricultural land is only authority given to the farmer. So the SARFAESI Act cannot perform the auction of a agricultural land of a farmer. Okay, so agricultural land, if the mortgage is agricultural land, then SARFAESI won't applicable. If the loan amount is less than 1 lakh remaining, then also the SARFAESI Act won't be applicable. If the recovery balance is less than 20% of the total amount, then also the SARFAESI Act won't be applicable. So these are the three conditions given under the SARFAESI Act. Okay. Now we have asset reconstruction company. These are those companies which take NPA of a bank from the bank and then reconstruct that asset, rebuild that asset and sell that asset in the market and recover their money. That's what the ARC does. So they have to be registration with RBI, and ARC has to compile the following two conditions. First, it have to obtain a certificate of registration from RBI. Second, the net owned fund should not less than 100 crore on an ongoing basis. Okay. So certificate of registration have to be taken from RBI and the net owned fund should be 100 crore or more than that. Also, asset reconstruction companies can raise money for their acquisition activities by issue of SRS under the schemes formulated by them. So depending on the nature of securities asset, RBI has power to specify the different amounts of own fund for the different class or classes of ARC. Like in the NBFC it happened. NBFC also, non-banking financial companies are there. They also have to take the certificate of registration from RBI. but they have been said that net owned fund should be 2 crore and more than that, not less than that. But in case of type of NBFC, the net owned fund amount can be differ, that will be defined by the RBI. Now the conditions for registration as IRC are: first, not incurred loss in any of the 3 preceding financial year. If any company want to be registered as an ARC, they should not have faced any kind of loss in the last 3 years. Then made adequate arrangement for realization of the financial assets acquired and shall be able to pay periodical returns on and redeem on respective due dates the investment made by the qualified buyers or other persons. Also, we are saying that it should make the adequate arrangement for the realization of the financial assets acquired. Okay, so they should have a proper sorry, they should have a proper arrangements where to raise the capital, where to sell the capital, like the proper management of financial assets they should be decided. The arrangement should be there, and they have to be capable of making the periodical returns on and redeem on respective due dates of the investment that have been made by the qualified buyer, because the asset reconstruction companies will buy NPA from a bank and then sell in the market and recover the money. So they have to have capability of making the periodical returns. Then director have experience in finance, securitization and reconstruction. The ARC can make the director a person who have experience in finance, securitization and reconstruction. Then none of its directors have been convicted of any offense involving moral turpitude. Okay, then its sponsor is a fit and proper person in accordance with the criteria also. Also, it has compiled with or is in a position to compile with prudential norms by RBI as well. So these are the conditions which have been registered that have to be followed on by the ARC while they are going to register as an asset reconstruction company. Okay, so these all conditions have to be followed by the ARC. So asset reconstruction companies are simply those companies which actually take the NPA of a bank and sell those NPA's assets to the market and recover their fund from there. This is how the asset reconstruction companies actually works. Okay, now we have a national asset reconstruction company. The national asset reconstruction company is doing the same thing. The national asset reconstruction company is doing the same thing. They take over the NPA of a bank and then recover the money from the market by using those assets. That's what the ARC does. Okay, so this is what the unit number 29 we had. Now let's talk about the batch that will help you out to cover the detailed chapters. Like right now I have only discussed the certain part of SARFAESI, certain part of ARC, DRT and DRAT. We have to cover NCLT, NCALT, IBC, the pillars of IBC, all of these we have to cover in detail. And all of these will be available in the comprehensive batches of R, which is started from 2nd of August. That's the officers batch. Apart from that, if you are going for any 3 subject or all the 4 subjects of JAIIB, then you can go with the JAIIB MAHAPACK 2.0 also, because it covers your comprehensive classes, conceptual classes, your crash course, your revision batch, everything will be covered there. Apart from that, if only 1 or 2 subject is remaining, then you can go with the individual subject subscription batches, because these subscription batches will help you out to get proper benefit like a MAHAPACK, but only for a specific subject. So these are the best option for you. If you are going for any 3 paper or all the 4 paper, then MAHAPACK, and if you are going for any 1 or 2 paper, then the subscription batch. Okay, so how to enroll? First, download the 24/7 application. Okay, after downloading the application, you will find a home page of application like this. And here you have to select your exam category. The exam category will be JAIIB CAIB. Okay, the exam category we have to select is what? JAIIB CAIB. One second. I will show you this again. So this is the website we have to go. Okay, here we have to select the exam category. That will be JAIIB CAIB. Okay, in that JAIIB November 2025, click on view all. Once you click on the view all, you will find all the detailed batches will be available here. Okay, like you can see, MAHAPACK is available, officers batch is available. When you scroll down, individual subject subscription batches are available. So whatever batch you want to enroll, just click on the batch. Do read the offerings like live class, mock test, ebooks, video courses will be there. Then double validity will be there. When you scroll down, you will find all the details of the package involved, है ना? Whatever batch you are going with, just scroll down the page of that batch. You will find the detailed return of that particular page of that particular product here, है ना? You can check the details. After checking all the details, click on the buy now option, enter a code here that will be Y496 and apply. Once you apply, you find your 80% discount. To get 1% additional discount, you can use a code Y496 on other 24/7 application, because from application you get 81% discount here. Okay, and that will be with the double validity. If you go for any other batch, you can get the 81% discount and the validity will be 6 months. Okay, so enroll accordingly the benefit you want to have, right? So this is all for today. We'll be ending session here now. But yes, definitely, if you want any kind of, if you have any kind of doubt or something, you can ask in the comment section. We'll check your comment and answer you. And also do remember, today is the last day to register for JAIIB November 2025 without late fees. From 8th of November, it means from tomorrow, you have to pay the late fees as well. Okay, that will be 100 rupee. And after that 1 week, you have to pay 200 rupees late fee. So it's better register now today before 12 p.m. so that you don't have to pay the late fee. Okay. And for the registration, simply visit the website of IIBF, go to the apply now, go to the members, and from there you can apply. Okay. So that's all for today. Let's end the session here. We'll see you all in the next class. Till then, take care everyone. And definitely stay connected to the channel JAIIB CAIIB English Medium, so that you will get all the information that is important for clearing the JAIIB. Okay, so subscribe the channel JAIIB CAIIB English Medium and press the bell icon so that all the upcoming sessions notification be given to you. Okay, so thank you all. See you in the next class. Take care.